If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement, Male Advantage ebook, or my personal workout and diet plan, all links are in the bio. Okay guys, welcome back to another video. In this video I want to talk to you about factory jobs, okay? I often get asked, what would you do if you were young again, if you were 16, whatever? Or can you give advice to me? I'm 14 years old. You know, just basically guys under like 20 years old are always like, can you give advice to teens, okay? Here's my advice. This is what I would do if I were 16 again, okay? So you kind of have to stay at school till you're 16. They might raise that to 18 in the UK. I can't remember. But if it's, let's say, okay, 16, I would go and get a factory job immediately, okay? That's my first move. I wouldn't even hesitate. I would go and get a factory job. Why a factory job? Because you can walk straight into a factory job at 16 and earn a decent amount of money. Okay, what I mean by that is if you want to be a doctor, you're looking at like 8 years of school minimum. If you want to be, I was talking to somebody earlier about he's becoming a nurse. 2 years of schooling apparently, or 2 or 3 years. If you want to go to university, you're looking at 3 years minimum, maybe 4. You then want to get your doctors or whatever. You want to go up a few levels higher. You're looking at a few extra years. And even then, your first job might be lower band, you know, it might be 30,000 per year, 28,000 per year, and then you bump it up. It takes a year or two to get a promotion. You might be like 26, 27, 28 years old before that pays off. You know, for most doctors, they're in their 30s before it really pays off and things come together. It's almost a form of the male advantage as long as they keep themselves in shape, which most doctors tend to do to some extent, okay? But for the average person on the street, if you go and get a factory job at 16, okay, this is why I love factory jobs. You can earn as much money as somebody who's been to university for 3 years, done the higher education thing. They're like 23 years old, 24 years old after a year of traveling. They've gone and got their first ever job. You can earn more than them at 16, straight off the bat. I'll explain why. Most factory jobs, I'm not talking about Amazon and stuff like that, okay? I think those sort of places are shit shows. Don't go down those routes. When I was young, I worked at a place called Delphi. I think it was Delphi. And we kind of like, to be honest, I don't even know what the fuck we did. We dealt with like diesel parts and the hoses that went on the end of diesel parts. I don't know. Massive operation, massive factory. I have no idea how. But I was doing like quality testing. I was just looking at these pieces, just screwing them onto something out. It's brain dead work, okay? These are the type of factories that I'm talking about because they actually do pay normal wages, okay? They pay a decent amount of money. I was doing nights. I was making like £500 per week, okay? But I wasn't working weekends. I wasn't doing overtime. As soon as those 8 hours were up, I was going home. That is my mistake. If I could go back in time, like when people ask me, what would you do if you were my age again? If I was 16, I'd go and get a factory job somewhere like that place that I was at, okay? I would suck it up, because that was a problem back then. I was cocky. I thought I was better than what I was at everything. I thought I had all the answers. I would suck it up. I'd be very nice to the bosses. I'd play the fucking nice guy role. Do you want to work overtime this weekend? Yes. Do you want to work overtime 5 days a week? Do you want to do extra hours? Yes. Do you want to do double shifts? Yes. Do you want to work on your birthday? Yes. Do you want to work Christmas and New Year's triple pay? Yes. Yes, I do. Okay, and this is why I love factory jobs, because you're not fully, but you're somewhat in control of how much you can earn. And this is why I massively advise young people to just go and work at a factory, because you can go to university for 3-4 years. You can come out after higher education and university. You can come out. You can get a job straight off the bat. Okay, you might be 23, 24 years old by the time you do that. At that stage, you're going to be earning, let's say your first job is like 30,000 per year. Well, you know that's locked in place for a year. You know, in the following year, that's kind of subject to your employer. You know, if you can either quit and go and get another job, but then you've got to go through an interview process, so somebody's actually got to hire you. So right there, you're Your earning potential is in the hands of someone else. If you stay in the same role and you try and get a promotion or you ask for a pay rise, it's not up to you. So it doesn't matter how hard you work, or obviously that has some influence on, if they're going to reward you or not. But you can work as hard as you want and still not get rewarded financially for it and still get the same amount of money. So it doesn't really teach you a lot. That's what I don't like about 9-to-5 jobs. But factory jobs, you can work, like I said, all the overtime in the world. You can work weekends. You can work Christmas, New Year, that 2 weeks that everybody else wants off. You can work that time, okay? Over a period of a year, you might be earning, because obviously you're going to be on a low wage at 16, but you might then be earning, or you can start 18, it doesn't matter. But you might then be earning 30,000 per year. Okay, so it's taken somebody else till they're like 24, 25 years old to get a wage like that, but you could be earning 30,000 per year, and then you just work extra hours. So you can bump that up. There's going to be a cap. The cap for your year, if you worked every single hour that possible at your wage, it might be 40, but you have that option. So if you do have like big dreams, and you go in there and your base wage is like 16,000, but you're a fucking hustler and you know exactly what you want out of life, and you're going, okay, I'm going to have to save about $250,000 to make my dreams happen. I mean, it's up to you. You can shorten that curve. Instead of going, right, I earn 30,000 a year, my bills are this, I've got to wait this long. You're 16, you can live at home with parents and just start racking up the money by working at every hour possible. And within like a few years' time, you could have that money saved up, okay? But this would be my aim. Go and get a factory job at 16. Like I said, work Christmases, birthdays, weekends, overtime, double shifts. Just give me all the fucking money in the world. Outside of that, I would hit the gym. And that would be my life. That would be it. I'd go in the gym like a lunatic. I'd work all the possible hours I could. I'd save up as much money as possible. Some people say to invest it, but when you're investing along the way, it's good to invest large lump sums, but sometimes when you're investing along the way, you're looking at £300, £400, £500 going in per month. It doesn't have a giant effect. It has an accumulation effect, but sometimes it's better to make large investments of you can it's going to be the same amount of money at some point, but sometimes like a 30k investment into something is better than just playing around with like small little bits of change. So my kind of plan would be from like 16 to 25 to do as many hours as possible, keep my bills as low as possible, hit the gym, get in the shape of my life, and then get to 25 years old with like $250,000 in the bank, perfect body, still got my youth, and now I have the option of freedom. Now I have the option, okay? Best case scenario, I've made some smart investments, they're paying me back. Another best case scenario, I've been building something like a business in the meantime, is now fully ready to go full time on and work. Worst case scenario, you've got 250,000 saved up, okay, over that length period of time, over 9 years. Not that hard to do. It's like saving roughly 28,000 per year, 25,000 per year. You might have less, okay. Let's say you've got 150,000 saved up. Let's make it really realistic, okay. How much do you need to survive on when you're living on your own where you live? Okay, people can live on 20,000 per year. Like comfortably, you can live on 20,000 per year. If you've got, okay, let's bump it up. Let's bump it up even more. Let's say 25, so it fits in perfectly. So you're going to live on 25,000 per year, so you don't have a terrible life. You've got 150,000 saved up. Worst case scenario, that's 6 years of life. That's 6 years of not having to go to a job. That's 6 years of not having to get up in the morning and go and do a job you hate. That's 6 years of not having to worry about money, okay? Now, that doesn't mean, you work all that time so that you can sit at home and have 6 years off doing nothing. I mean, that's 6 years where you don't have to worry about money, so you can focus on building that business, that idea. You can then focus on what you really want to work on, okay? So when you haven't got that stress of, where's the next bill? Where's the next payment coming from? Have I got enough money to fund this? When you've got 6 years, you can plan for the long term and your decision making becomes better. The nature of your business is better because you, like I said, you make better decisions. You run it based on ethos, not profit, because you don't need the money. You've got the money. There's no urgency to turn a profit. So you end up, like I said, running a smarter, smoother business that's best for like the customer, the audience, whatever. It's a much smarter way to do it. That is exactly what I'd do now if I could go back to being 16. I would drop out of school immediately as soon as they let me. I'd be like, this is pointless. I'd go and get a factory job. my aim would be to save something like 200,000, $250,000, because obviously your wages are going to go up over the period of time. As you get older, you might get a promotion, but you're still working all these hours. People say, oh, you lose your youth, you lose. Trust me, you get to 25, you've got like $250,000 sat in the bank, and then you're going to make that money work for you. Like I know I said worst case scenario earlier, but like, I want to phrase this correctly. Most basic scenario possible, you get that $250,000 and you go and buy 2 cheap houses for like 125 grand each. You can get them in Wales for that, okay? 125 grand each. Pay for the 2 houses outright. You rent both houses out for like £500 a month. Now you're making $1,000 a month. Okay? It's not life changing. It's not ideal. But if you keep your bills down to a minimum of like $500-600 per month, you now have £400 per month to live on, okay, to reinvest into the business. How long can you do that for? It's a serious question. How long can you do that for? You could sit at home for 10 years if you wanted to with that small wage. Like, I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying it frees you up. It allows you've got £500 to reinvest into a business. All your bills are paid. You're living cheap. Your quality of life's a little bit shit. But you're able to then work on the idea that you want to work on. And there's multiple ways of doing it. Like I said, you can use that money. You can invest that money into your business. You can make some smart investments, try and turn that into like $1 million or whatever. It wouldn't be that hard to 4x your money with some smart investments. But there's so many options, and that's what it gives you by working from like 16 to 25, not with a care in the world, no girlfriends, you don't buy a car. You rent the cheapest but safest place possible. You do as many hours as you can. You do triple time. You do double time. You get triple pay for working unsociable hours. Maybe you work nights. I don't know. They do harm you, but you can do it when you're young for a few years. And that ends up being double pay. You can get that money in very, very quickly, okay? It's a very easy way to do it. And then, like I said, when you get to 25, you've got this big bundle of money, this huge lump sum, an investment, a pool of money that you can pick from while you're working on a business. There's so many different options, guys, but it sets you up perfectly. And in hindsight now, if I go back, that's exactly what I'd do. That would be my plan. Factory job, many hours as I could, save up all that money, invest that money, invest probably 50% of it, use the other 50% as a wage to keep my life going, keep my bills as low as possible, try and live on something like 12,000 per year and allow that money to extend as far as it could, so that I could then put money back into the business and fund the business as well. And that's how I do it. And I just leave my investments, 125 grand's worth, just sat there waiting until they exploded. I just think, like, what 25-year-old has got themselves set up like that? And that is what I would do. It's like, you can go and get an amazing job, but you're probably not going to get one at 16. The first time you're going to get an amazing job might be 21, 22 years old. Well, the factory person has already got 5 years of earning on you with no debt. 5 years of earning, even if you're only saving 10 grand a year, you got 50 grand in the bank, no debts, and now your earning potential is going to be higher than ever because you've probably risen up in the company as well. And if you worked overtime, double time, like everything else, you get triple pay at Christmas and New Year and whatnot. You work nights, whatever. Like, if you add all of that shit up, you're probably more likely to save like 20,000 per year. It's probably much more likely that you're going to be able to put that away. It's like 16 to 20, 21, your parents probably let you live at home for 5 years. Guys, the amount of money you could save up, like, is not beyond the realms of possibility. Like I said, to get to 25, have like $250,000 in the bank, make some smart investments, and like I said, worst case scenario, you can go and buy 5 properties with 50k mortgage on each. 5 200k properties, rent them all out. Now, people think that makes you rich. It doesn't. I got to do a video on this soon about property, but I'm just saying, if that's the laziest strategy, and it still would work. Like, you'd still be able to bring in like 1,000 per month, 1,500 per month. It's still a good enough wage if you're living cheaply enough to then allow you to be free. And then once you're free, you can work on whatever you want to work on, and you've always got those assets to sell in the future if need be. But that's the point I'm making, guys, is you've got to acquire that freedom. I managed to acquire my freedom at 27 years old, so I wasn't far off that plan. But I know for a fact, if I had done that factory plan all the way through and just committed to that, I'd probably have like an extra 200k to play with right now, which would be scary as extra money that I could piss around with. And then I would definitely have my exact body that I wanted, because it would be all I focused on outside of work. And I would have been free to work on this business 2 years sooner. So add 2 years to this business as to where I am now. That would be pretty crazy. I think in 2 years' time, this business is going to be in one hell of a position. And I would have been there 2 years earlier. And plus, with the extra money, it might have been even quicker. You know, you could fast forward everything. And it would have came from the factory job. Like, you think about it, you go and get a really good job in, like, finance or something. You're probably going to be on a shit starter wage of, like, 18,000. Maybe 2-3 years later, probably 3 years later, they're going to have you on, like, 30,000, okay, as you've, like, worked your way up. Maybe you've got a commission-based job in there. Maybe you can bump that up to, like, 40. You know, maybe they give you a promotion. But it's going to be, like, 4 years into that job after 3 years of university, after full education till 18. So it's going to be 18, 19, 20, 21, 25. You're probably going to be like 25 before you're earning like 40,000 per year. Whereas in a factory job, you can achieve 40,000 per year quite easily if you work enough hours, if you work enough weekends, if you work enough holidays. When nobody else wants to work, it's double pay, it's triple pay. Who wants to work? Yeah, hands up, I'm in. Your life is really in your hands. Like, if you know that you need 8 grand to, let's say you need an extra 8 grand to fund this idea for your business that you're running in the meantime, because you can still do both at once. You need 8 grand to fund it. Well, you go, hang on, let me add this up. Okay, if I work all the overtime, all the weekends, and if I do nights, you know, what if I do 1 night shift per week as well, extra on top of what I'm doing, or if I just do nights permanently and switch over, I've added up that I can get out of this job. You know, I can pay for this 8,000 in 3 months. There's not many jobs where you can do that, where you can say, okay, I'm in control of how much I can earn and how quickly. That's why I love factory jobs. They kind of make you feel like an entrepreneur, and they're easy to leave. You can literally leave that day. You can literally go, right, that's it, it's over, like I'm gone. Oh, okay, sign this, right, out, done. Like, they're very easy to leave. No stress. Once you leave work, nobody's calling you saying, hey, did you manage to ring the clients? Like, it's a piece of piss, okay? It's just gym as many hours as you can, sleep. Gym as many hours as you can, sleep. It doesn't matter if you end up doing that for 9 years. You get to 25, you're like, I've wasted my youth, everyone else has been going out and getting drunk, and you look like a fucking stud. You've got $250,000 in the bank, and you're ready to execute on all the ideas you've ever done, or you've been executing, and it's finally paying off. That's what I'd do. I don't see it being any more complicated than that. I just love the idea of being in control of what I can earn. I hate the idea of, like, a 9-to-5 job, you get paid 40,000 per year, and you know that. January 1st, when the year starts, you know exactly how much you're going to get paid for that year. That's kind of humiliating. I don't like that. It just... I know. I like waking up on the first day of the year and going, this could be the year. I could put 10 million in the bank this year. You know, or even on a small scale, it could be like, okay, this year we're going to turn a profit. It doesn't, like, but it's all in your hands. That excites me. For some people, they like the safe wage. Factories are kind of a blend of the both, of the two, okay? But if you put the work in, you're not going to get fired from that job. You know, there are jobs you can get fired from, you know, the company goes bust, whatever. But if you work for one of these, like, big, large factories, put in as many hours as you can, you're probably going to get promoted. The bosses are going to love you. You're going to work all the hours God sent. And like I said, you're going to put a huge amount of money in the bank. And from 16 to 21, you're probably going to have to give your parents some money, but you'll be able to stay at home for 5 years. They probably won't care, okay? So your bills are going to be dirt cheap. They're going to be low. You're not going to be out partying, drinking, be in the gym. You're going to have a gym membership, like a SIM-only phone contract. That's it, really. And a job. Like, you're going to put £100 on the table per month for your parents. Like, it's very easy, guys. Like, it's very, very easy. And I just think those years where you can clock up a shit ton of money, people waste. And I did a factory job for like 3 years. I clocked up a decent amount of money. I didn't have this mentality, though. If any of you right now, like 15, you're in school, you can leave next year, I'd be seriously plotting that exact route. And yeah, people say, oh, you get to 25, you're going to be tired. Trust me, when you see that money going up and you actually have a goal, you're not going to be tired. You're not going to be pissed off. You know where it's headed. Like, people work in a factory job for 30 years. I worked with people like that. And you're like, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I don't know, I hate weekends. I'd rather just be back here. Shit. You're not going to turn into one of those people, okay? Because you've got a goal. You've got something in mind that you want to accomplish. And here's the other great thing. If you don't have a goal, because you're young and you don't know, Okay, nobody knows what they want to do by a certain age. You could get to 25, you still don't really know what you want to do in life, and you go, well, I've saved up all this money and I'm in great shape. That's not a negative. Okay, so you've got $250,000 saved up and you're in the perfect shape. I mean, if you want to go and get a standard 9-to-5 job off the back of that then and go, I'm just going to get a mortgage, just get married and have a couple kids, you're kind of settled. You won't have any bills, like you're going to have an easy life either way, okay? But you've done the hard work, you've done the hard graft as early as possible. You've put those hours in now, so you kind of put your feet up at another place. You can go and get further qualified. Like, you've got options then. That's what it gives you, is options. Most people get to 25 and they're broke. They've got debts from uni. They've just gone traveling. They've taken loans and all sorts. It's just not a good show. And then, you know, they're kind of in shape, out of shape because they've gone out and got drunk at uni a lot. They've put on like 20 pounds. I just think that's the best possible life setup, and it all stems from factory jobs. And back when I was doing the factory jobs, I didn't appreciate it, but now I'm like, that's the best job in the world. You know, when you're 40 years old, it's a shit job. It's not working as well as other jobs because, you know, you can earn $100,000 per year from another job. You might not get that in a factory no matter how many hours you work. But when you're young, it's very hard to earn as much money as you can earn in a factory because you will earn as much as you want to work for. You can do a lot more hours. You can do weekends, whatever. Try and work weekends in a finance office. The boss isn't paying you more. If you need extra money, you cannot get extra money in most jobs. You've got a set wage for the year and that's it. You're stuck with it. In a factory job, if you need, like I said, another $2,000 and you need it by the end of the month and you go, right, if I get this $2,000, I can pay for this and then my business will get up and running. You've got that option. You can go, okay, let me add it up. If I just work 4 more weekends, I've got the money. You know, it's £200 per weekend. If I work those 4, if I don't spend on that, okay, yeah, I'm there. I've got it. I just need to do 1 night and 4 weekends. Perfect. I'm going to be knackered, but guess what? By the end of that month, my idea is going to be in place. And if your idea is just saving up as much money as possible, like I said, 25 is still dirt young. You'd be so young. Like, you could sleep for 6 months. You could just take a 6-month sabbatical. You know, sleep for 6 months, take a few holidays, relax, recoup, go to a spa every day, and then go, okay, what do I want to do with my life? But you will have something that nobody else has. Options. You're in shape, you got money. You've got both of those boxes ticked, okay? Most men never tick those boxes. You'll be in one hell of a position. That would be my plan. If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement, Male Advantage ebook, or my personal workout and diet plan, all links are in the bio.